This weekend's annual Faith and Freedom Conference in Washington will comprise the usual mix of breakout sessions, Mama Grizzlies, fighting Obama's war on religion, whatever that is, the Hollywood agenda, and Obama's assault on Israel, whatever that is. These topics will be discussed by a panoply of stars, ranging from serial adulterer Donald Trump to serial adulterer Newt Gingrich. But the speech everyone is waiting for comes tomorrow morning when Mitt Romney takes a break from his bus tour to deliver an address. But what kind of reception will he get from many conservative Christians who regard Mormonism as heretical and a cult? Frank Schaeffer is a political commentator and best-selling author. His latest is entitled Sex, Mom and God, How the Bible's Strange Take on Sex Led to Crazy Politics. Good afternoon, Frank.
Hi, Martin.
In listening to the speeches today, we heard a great deal about freedom, but virtually nothing about faith. Now, is this because their candidate for president is a Mormon, or is it because people like Newt Gingrich have finally realised that talking about faithfulness may not be his strongest suit?
I think what you have to understand when you look at the religious right in action these days is that they speak in Orwellian doublespeak. They say the opposite of what they mean. They talk about faith and freedom. The conference should really be called Politics and Bondage. Look, what's the common denominator of all their faith and freedom politics? It's to take away the freedom of choice for women, to take away contraceptives from women who work for Roman Catholic institutions, to take away choice for women, to take away gay marriage from gay people. This is not freedom. This is another form, the American form of Sharia law being imposed because of religious fiat. And when it comes to the faith part, it's not about faith. It's about politics. This is naked, anti-Obama politics masquerading as faith. That's all that's going on.
One of the breakout sessions at this conference is titled, and I'm quoting, Building Bridges to the Hispanic Community. How exactly is that going to work, given the president's proposal to stop deporting young illegal immigrants, as he announced today, while Mitt Romney's answer is self-deportation?
Well, as I talk about in my book, Sex, Mom, and God, when you're looking at the religious right, you have to balance their hatreds. Do they hate the Mormonism of Mitt Romney more than they hate the pretended Islamic faith, quote unquote, of the president? Do they hate the Hispanic and brown people and people of color in this country more than they will embrace their own Hispanic evangelicals? In this particular case, I think we're going to go with race-based politics. They have lied about our first African-American president, and they will turn their backs on their Hispanic brothers in Christ in the Christian community in order to maintain their race-based American and race-baiting white politics.
Let me read you something from a New York Times editorial this week. It's written by David Mason, a Mormon professor, and I'm quoting him. I suspect that Mr. Romney is such a typical politician that, should he occupy the Oval Office, he'll studiously avoid the appearance of being anything but a WASP. Mormons are certainly Christian enough to know how to spitefully abuse their power. What is your reaction to that?
Well, let's be honest. We've got the first African-American sitting in the White House, and Obama was a young man when the Mormon church that Mitt Romney belongs to still would not allow black men to be bishops or pastors, as we would call it from most denominations' backgrounds. So there's no way to avoid this. Nobody wants to talk about it, but there is a lot of racial tension here in this election. And just as the Tea Party and the religious right have lied about our president consistently, using everything in the book except to come out and say what's really bothering them, and that is that he's a black man sitting in the White House that in their view belongs to white people, I guess, in perpetuity. So in this confrontation between our first Mormon president, if he becomes president, and our first African-American president who's now in the White House, you have a collision that I think is quietly driving the evangelicals and the conservative Roman Catholics and others who have allied themselves against Obama crazy. Indeed. I would like to say there's a whole other side to religion in America that really is about faith and freedom.
Yes.
There are moderate Roman Catholics.
Absolutely.
There are moderate Roman Catholics. There are moderate evangelicals, such as the Wild Goose Festival that I'll be speaking out next week. It isn't about faith and freedom. It's about right-wing politics masquerading as faith. There are alternatives. Someone like myself who's a Christian is one of them.
Indeed. And we're grateful to have you. Frank Schaeffer, thank you, sir.